Welcome to the E-Show with Neil Ravin. Founded in 2013, the EHL has become the college placement leader on the East Coast. Sit back and learn more about the next step in your junior hockey career.
Welcome to the E-Show, presented by the Penalty Box Foundation. The Foundation's mission centers around their daily motto, "We take care of our own," as they help out all of those within the hockey community who've experienced a catastrophic event. Learn more at penaltyboxfoundation.org. What's up? My name is Neil Ravin, and this is episode number 108 of the E-Show. On this week's episode, we take a look at a handful of EHL players that will be chasing after records in the final month of the regular season. However, to start things off, we chat with Andrew Harley, an alumni forward for the East Coast Wizards, who is currently ranked in the top 15 amongst all scorers at the NCAA Division III level. Following the conversation with the alum who is now at SUNY Brockport, we break down all the latest and greatest with the weekly rundown and reset our picks inside the Fantasy Challenge. Then, we wrap things up by circling some matchups where there's key points on the line this upcoming weekend. I'm joined now by Andrew Harley, a forward at SUNY Brockport. How's it going, Andrew?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for coming on the podcast. I know this is kind of a unique one for me. I had to pull the jersey out. I am wearing your old jersey because it just fits so right. But I have to ask before we get started, how did this happen? Do you remember?
I don't remember that at all. So I'm thinking that might have happened in the transition after I left. But okay. I don't recall that being there.
Because there is a giant hole in the jersey, but it has the Harley on the back. I've been in this league this is my 7th year. You're probably one of my favorite players to watch. We're going to get into that now. Because looking back on your time with the Wizards, let's start with this. What brought you to Bedford?
You know, I played coming out of high school. I played high school hockey. Wasn't playing at a high level of travel, a little split season AAA. But so, I was just reaching out to coaches in the EHL. Thought it was a good fit for my play coming out of high school, and visited a few teams and just like the culture that Freddie had at the time with the Wizards and with Corey there running it, and thought it was a good fit for me to help develop my game to get to the next level.
And one of my favorite reasons why I like to watch you play, that first year, 2018-19, it felt like every other game, it was either forward or D. Was that something that you kind of volunteered for, or did Freddie just put you in that position?
Yeah, I think we were about 15 games into the season, and I found myself, I was looking on the outside, looking into the lineup, and we had a bunch of injuries on the back end. So Freddie just called me in one day and said, "We'd like to put you back at D to help fill in for some injuries, because right now you find yourself outside of the lineup at forward." And I was just happy to be in the lineup, whether that was offense or defense. So
you fast forward then to the following year, the 2019-20 season. Did you expect yourself to put up 60 points that year?
I wouldn't say 60 points, but I think so. Going back to the following year, going into playoffs, we got about a bunch of guys back on the back end. So I actually moved back up to forward just for the playoffs that year, and had a pretty good postseason. So I was definitely going into the next year with a lot more confidence than I had the previous year. I think that was a big off season for me on my own, working out and stuff. I think I put on 15 pounds of muscle going into that next season. So my expectations were definitely higher. I don't know if I was looking at the 60-point mark, but I was definitely looking to improve a little bit on the previous season.
How far into that 2019 season, when you're paired with Darby and Chance Gorman, did you guys as a line realize we have something kind of special going here?
Yeah, I think the season started, I don't think the three of us were together. So we were each doing pretty well on our own on separate lines. And then once Freddie and Corey paired us up together, we didn't look back after that. We were doing pretty well together.
Yeah. And now when you look at these rosters at the Division III level, there's so many EHL alumni at so many different schools, but one that always stands out is Brockport. There's 18 alumni on your team, and in particular, there's some from the Avalanche, some from the Rangers, obviously yourself from the Wizards. The way that 2019-20 season ended, with all of you guys still alive in the playoffs, is there ever a conversation about who would have won?
A few times. My roommate is Connor Galloway, who's
Okay.
captain of the Rangers for the 2 years that I was with the Wizards. So we kind of joke around because they were the league champs that year for the
Yep.
regular season, and we were supposed to play them in the next round after we beat the Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a little chirping going on about what would have happened in that, but I'll never know, I guess.
Yeah, you never know. We'll never be able to actually know what happened. So you went back home, though, to go to Brockport. You're obviously from up there. Was that always kind of your number one choice?
Absolutely not. Coming out of high school, knowing I was going to play juniors, I thought for sure I would I had no plans of going to Brockport, especially going to Brockport High School. But then being away, being in Boston for a year and a half, 2 years, and then talking to Coach Dickinson and getting out for a visit once in the second season juniors, there's no place I'd rather be now. So
yeah,
worked out perfectly.
There you go. So obviously we just touched on the 2019-20 season and how you had won that series with the Seahawks, and then kind of things just stopped. And then fast forward, you become a freshman in college. What was this past year like? What were you able to actually do with your team?
So during the pandemic, that is?
Yeah. Yes.
So last year we did just about nothing really. So we never got any ice. So we weren't able to skate as a team at the school. There's one of our players, his dad runs a little skills at a local rink. So we did that on our own a little bit. So we did get on the ice a little bit together, but not as a team in any sense. So
how did you stay? Difficult. How did you stay in hockey shape then throughout the time?
Just try to skate as much as I could and work out when I got the chance, but it wasn't a lot going on that front.
Then I have to repeat a question that I asked before, because this is technically like your freshman year of hockey. The start that you're off to, but did you expect this out of yourself?
I mean, kind of. I wasn't sure, right? So I'd never played at the college level. I didn't know what the speed was. So there's definitely an adjustment period the first couple of games, or I wasn't really doing how I'm producing now. But actually, my whole line, we're all in our first year, and we've just clicked really well together, and we're just gotten in a really good groove and looking to keep that going.
Was there a specific moment in one of the first few games where a goal was scored or a hit where you had to pinch yourself and say, all right, yes, I can play at this level?
Well, I don't think there was ever a question of whether or not I could play at the level, but I think our Plattsburgh game, I think it might have been our fourth or fifth game this season, that Plattsburgh came down and we beat them 7-3. I think we had an outburst of 4 or 5 goals in the second period that my line contributed on 3 or 4 of them, and we just kind of knew right there that we're going to be able to do this year. So,
and you've got 26 points right now. I mentioned a name earlier when we were talking, one of your linemen when you were with the Wizards, Chance Gorman. So going into this past weekend, you actually trailed Chance in total points. Now you're ahead of him. Are you guys keeping in contact? Is there a little competition going on, or is that not happening?
I wouldn't say that. I mean, he came up and we played them. They got the best of us in this year's meeting, but so, I mean, we talked to him a little bit, but I mean, I've been keeping tabs on where he's at, but no official competition.
I mean, you're tied right now for 14th in the nation in scoring. I mean, I know you're saying that you're not surprised, but to be off to this kind of start in your first year, what is the coaching staff up there saying to you?
I'm not a whole lot. We're just focused on the playoffs at this point, getting a good seeding and making a run. And we got some very competitive teams in our league with Geneseo, Oswego, Plattsburgh. So the main focus right now is getting to the best spot for playoffs and trying to make a run, surprise some people.
And I don't want to look too far ahead because, of course, the playoffs are first on your mind. But for us as a league, the next time we're going to see Brockport most likely will be in this upcoming fall when we take our all-star team up there to face you guys. I know that's an event that you did not get a chance to actually play in, but for the players that do play in that from the EHL All-Stars, what are you going to say to them about that experience? How important will that be for them?
I think it's the same as every day in the EHL. It's a great league. You get in front of a lot of college coaches, so you just got to take advantage of each game and each all-star event, whatever it is, showcase, all-star game that coaches are paying attention to, and just put your best self forward and try to impress.
Well, it's awesome. It's great advice, and I appreciate you coming on. And like I said, this is hanging downstairs. I knew at some point I had to have you on this. You got 2 Rookie of the Week awards from the SUNY, and you're just absolutely killing it in your first year. So keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks again to Andrew Harley for being on the podcast this week. A second year, I guess you could say, forward at SUNY Brockport. Didn't get to play in his first year, but a kid that's absolutely killing it. And yes, I still have the jersey on from when I interviewed him. It is his jersey. I like how he didn't know where this hole came from that's in it, but it's all good. Let's now bring in the Ecru now. And guys, I had a great box come in the mail today. And inside the box were these lovely championship hats.
For that thing called the Frozen Finals?
Yes. Now, when this stuff starts to arrive, it starts to feel real. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like we're a hell of a lot closer to the finals than we are from the start of the season at this point, right?
It's all coming together.
Some teams are starting to see their games played go from double digits to single digits.
Right? Crazy. And I know we've talked about that before. Like, how many games do you want to play down the stretch here? Because March comes and goes like that.
It does.
So just over 50 days from the Frozen Finals. And another great factoid, I guess you could say, of what I noticed today, we're chasing a lot of records right now. So let's start talking about those in the weekly rundown.
It's time for the Ecru's Weekly Rundown.
The eShow Weekly Rundown is brought to you by the Junior Hockey Podcast, your home for junior hockey news, knowledge, and nonsense. Check them out at tjhpodcast.com.
So I want to talk about the records and then the power rankings because the Connecticut Rough Riders won 6-2 today, and he had 4 goals and 2 assists, and he could have scored a 5th goal also.
Pushing for 60 points, Colin Bella.
Anthony, you wrote about this. Like, he's gonna break the goal record.
Yes. Well, he is, if you just count the regular season, he is now at 71 career goals in the EHL. Bryce Whitman holds the record for 76. Now, Neil, on the website, it also includes postseason.
Yep.
So Whitman is at 83 goals, or no, 81.
84.
No, 84. Colin Bella is at 73 goals because he has 2 postseason goals. So he has 11 games left in the regular season. And he'll need 6 goals to break the regular season record. He'll need 11 to tie the overall record.
Wow.
And you don't know how many postseason games he'll have, right? Like, he gets at least 2, right? Because everyone makes the playoffs. If the Rough Riders go in and lose their best of 3 series in 2 games, and he has 13 games left to get 11 goals for the all-time record. More importantly, though, for him, in the 11 regular season games, can he score 11 goals to match his brother's 40?
The fact that he just scored 4 today, I'm not worried about him breaking records.
Is his brother worried?
I think the rest of the league needs to be worried anytime he's left alone with the puck, because most times it's gonna end up in the net or it's gonna get passed to a teammate who puts it in the net.
Well said, Lauren.
That's always what happens.
He also has 1 more game against the 87s. He has 7 goals in his last 2 games against the 87s. Like, I want to know.
Anthony, you sound frustrated.
Well, no,
this is when you need to quote yourself from a previous episode. Ew.
Yes.
Ew.
Well, Anthony, the big question for you is, though, like, we know you're a big 87s and Bella fan. Which one is bigger right now?
Well, yeah, it's funny. Being the 87s announcer, I'm thinking, come on, like, why is he scoring so many goals against our guys? But as an employee of the Eastern Hockey League, at the same time, I'm just thinking, I kind of want him to break that record. And I said this before we started recording. I was kind of hoping he'd get the empty netter and get 5 goals that game.
Yep.
The game was already out of reach at that point. I was thinking, come on, just get 1 more. But he passed it off. I believe it was Jay Justice who got the empty netter.
Yep.
Anthony's a company man. He wants what's good for the brand, and it'll be a fun article for you to write. Did you guys realize Andrew now goes by AJ Bella? That's strange.
He kind of did a little bit when he was in the league too.
Andrew Bella. Really?
Yeah. I mean, both kids can just shoot the lights out. That's the biggest thing, right? So everyone circle every single Rough Riders game on the schedule the rest of the way, because we're all watching to see if Bella scores. Now let's go to the goalies. We finally got to use the graphic that Justin made. So Nathan Miller picked up the 14th shutout of his career. So he's now the all-time leader in league history with 14 shutouts, passing Brendan Brawley, who had 13. But he's not the only goalie that's chasing records. So we'll start with the other one that he's chasing. He's at 43 all-time wins, and the record for all-time wins, also held by Brawley, is 51. So kind of similar statement that I just made. He has only so many regular season games left, plus postseason. So to get those 8 wins to tie and 9 to pass, we'll see if he gets there. But also in terms of wins, Ronan Mobley has quietly, I guess you could say, won 22 games this year. Do you guys know what the record is for wins in a single season for a goaltender?
20. I'm going to guess 20. Is 28?
28.
Oh,
Jeff just throws that number out there.
Woo!
Jeff knew it was coming right that one. That was Billy Gerard in the 2019-20 season. So
makes sense.
Mobley is fewer wins away from breaking that record than Miller is the other one.
Mobley could come for Miller's shutout record too, Neil. He's got 8 shutouts. If you check our shutout list, Mobley's right there.
In terms of this season, it's 8 shutouts to 6, Miller versus Mobley.
Right.
And today, February 2nd, 2022, Mobley has the edge in the Goalie of the Year award.
Yep.
I would say that.
4 games played.
And the guy that we just talked about, Bella, has the edge in the MVP award, by the way.
Right.
Back to that for a second. But
I mean, that's the crazy thing about the Rangers too, right? And you got to give credit to Chris Jackson, right? Chris and Rich they were 1A, 1B for a little while. And then Chris is kind of taking a back seat and he's let Millsy get out there and get as many starts as he can so that he can get the award. And I was happy to be on the call for that game the other day. And the guys were watching Nate just turn around and flip the goal down. And
God, I'm not a fan of that personally. I don't like mess, right? And I feel like the goal being thrown onto the ice and goal pegs going everywhere is a mess. But that's just
that makes sense. But no, think about it too. We were talking about it. Me and Coach Capper were talking about it after the game. For Miller to pass guys like Billy Gerard and Egbert that have also gone on to have successful careers in college too, that's saying something. The Rangers have no shortage of good goaltenders that come through the doors, and Miller's been unbelievable. And we'll see if he gets that wins record. 51 with Brawley, but he'll definitely pass Tilford at 45. You've got to think.
Yeah, and it's unique to see a goalie of the year come back, potentially not win the award again.
Right.
But that's how good Mobley has been for the Avalanche, and that gets us into the power rankings. Which for the Avalanche, they won a game, or they won. One game? Yes, they won one game, and they lost the game. That Lumberjack series. I got confused there for a second. But the 87s have lost a loss behind them also. The Ducks have a second loss. We recorded this in the middle of that Ducks-Chiefs series. I don't think the Avalanche can go anywhere. I think they're still number 1.
Yeah, I think they're still number 1 too. What do you guys think?
I don't think anyone's done enough behind them.
It's that kind of weird time of the year. And it's that weird time of year too, where like certain teams are playing a lot, certain teams aren't, because we have all the league showcases are done. So that's where we usually have gotten a lot of teams playing, 2, 3, 4 times a week. So
the Avalanche beat the Lumberjacks in the first game. And then actually what was funny, I wrote this in our Stars of the Month. So Mobley won Goalie of the Month, right? He had 7 starts in the month of January. In the first 6 that he had a perfect record of 6-0, he gave up 5 goals. In the last start that he lost on the last day of the month, he gave up 5 goals. That doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. But that's a game of hockey.
But you're not going to beat a division rival, the Lumberjacks, every single time you face them this year.
Right. No, you see each other too much. You know each other's systems.
So a loss had to be coming at some point.
Well, the Lumberjacks also had a new goalie they were trying out too, and clearly that paid off for them.
Yes, Lenny Perno. Can't wait to get to my fantasy picks.
Lenny Perno, come on down. Maybe
like
not.
I just think, unfortunately, no one had a perfect 3-0-0 week behind the Avalanche to take that spot. So the Avs have to stay at 1. From there, I don't know what to do, guys, because the 87s dropped a game. It's crazy that they hit the 17-point mark, 17 consecutive games for the what time in franchise history, Anthony? Another trivia question for you.
Well, how many times the 87s have got?
How many times have they hit 17 straight games with at least a point?
Is that the third time they've done it?
That was the third time they've done that.
Wow.
So I said to Julio, you go, clearly between 17 to 18, there's a problem. But to get to 17 is pretty special.
Well, how many of those are broken up by games at SUNY White Center? There's some black magic in that arena. This 87s team just does not play well at SUNY White Center. And the players even told me that.
What's funny, Anthony, is we're going to do a jersey contest at some point, and then we have to do a toughest rinks to play in contest, because going to Sono is challenging and going to Merrill Fay is very challenging. That's where the Wolves play.
But what about the Walpole? Everyone has to complain about the little Walpole bounce.
The kick in the corner, that's a tough place
the
to
little
play.
Flyers love that. It's that Tyler Hisson.
Yes. So after the jerseys, we'll do tough. Oh God.
Good times.
I haven't heard one of those in a while, Jeff.
Wait, what is that?
But
oh no, just kidding.
The best is how when I send pictures to Justin and he circles the fire alarm in the background of the pictures. I can't, oh my God. Anyways, well, after the jerseys, we'll do toughest places to play. But for the 87s, they entered the week with a record of 23, 9-4. They end the week kind of like the Avalanche. They won one, they lost one. Did somebody do enough behind the 87s to take their spot at number 2?
No.
I don't think so.
Not really.
I think you got to keep them at 2.
Okay, now 3. Who's 3?
So we had Protect there.
It's a debate between the Ducks and the Flyers. They're really close.
I can't put the Flyers there. The Flyers just got shut out 3-0.
Protect just lost 2 to the Chiefs.
Who is Team Maryland?
I mean,
we've been figuring that out all year.
They've got a little bit of new life into them thanks to Jackson Bernard getting his first shutout with them.
Yeah,
shut out a hot
that
Flyers
South Division.
Especially the Flyers who've been scoring goals at an unbelievable rate. That coming off that Apple Core series.
And Bernard made 37 saves, so the little Flyers were sending a lot of pucks on goal. And I think for Bernard, it wasn't too much different than any of his starts from Apple Core, facing over 35 shots in that game.
I was going to say the defense was stronger in front of him than it was when he was on the core, but still he's one of those guys that just works better when he sees a lot of action. I think if he doesn't see as much action, that's when I feel like he gets to get into trouble. But yeah, nice addition for Team Maryland.
We locked in the Avalanche at 1, the 87s at 2. The Ducks, since last power rankings, lost to the Chiefs, beat the Apple Core. The Express lost
2
to the
games
Wolves.
to the Chiefs.
Well, we were in between though.
That's right, because we recorded.
It was lose the Chiefs, record at nearly midnight for us, and then lose the Chiefs again.
Yeah.
But the game was in overtime, the second one.
But still within the last week.
Yeah, Walpole lost their only game of the week against the Wolves. The Little Flyers swept their 2-game set with the Rough Riders, but then got shut out by Maryland.
The Wolves are picking everyone off. Wolves picked the Rangers off the other day, too.
Who are the New England Wolves? Who are the Connecticut Rough Riders? Who is Team Maryland? Who is the Seacoast Spartans?
I'll say Seacoast back to 500 in the North.
Who is anybody in this league right now?
Absolute mess. That's what it is.
Who is going to hold up this hat when all is said and done, where it says champions on the back of it?
Nobody knows. We don't know. We can't make an educated prediction right now. Not at this stage.
Someone take a shot at number 3. I can't look at the chat right now. Someone take a shot at number 3. Who wants to take a shot? Who do they got there?
I honestly don't know.
I say maybe leave the Ducks at 3, maybe.
Leaving the Ducks at 3, Lauren? Is that what you're saying?
I think so. Because they split and they're 7-2 and won the last 10, but then the Little Flyers are also 7-2 and won their last 10. But I don't know. They're just
leave the Ducks at 3, Little Flyers to 4. Let's have fun with it. Let's go Ducks 3, Little Flyers 4, Maryland 5.
Oh,
Maryland.
South.
What?
That would fire up the league. You got the Avalanche at 1, and then you have the South.
Where do you get Maryland from in all of this?
Because Maryland, if you look back at my picks, is going to be the final qualifier who wins the South versus Central last spot in. Maryland is
randomly thrown into the power rankings.
Somehow at the end of the Newington Showcase, I knew Jackson Bernard was going to Maryland, and that's how they were going to go to the Frozen Final. So I'm sticking with that pick.
Justin brings up an interesting point about the Wolves. Like we said, picking off some teams lately.
But they just lost 6-1 the day they were recording this to the Lumberjacks.
True, and
but they also just beat the Express and BJR.
I give them votes again, but I don't know if they can go in over Vermont. Vermont just split with the Avs.
They're still a game under 500 too. Not a huge fan of putting teams under 500 in the power rankings.
Come on, we gotta go Avs, and then we the South.
No.
Railers. We haven't talked about the Railers at all. Are the Railers in here?
I was just gonna say the Railers.
For 5, it's got to be either the Wolves or the Railers. Nobody else makes any sense. Maryland, I'm sorry, does not make sense.
I say
week.
Railers.
We can put them as like a honorable mention, but like they do not go in the power rankings this week. They have not done enough yet.
I say Railers then, Neil.
Ducks 3, Little Flyers 4, Railers 5.
They've won 3 out of the last 4. They're starting to figure things out. Beat the Rangers, beat the Wizards, beat the Warriors, lost to the Spartans.
Okay, so are we?
You're gonna put them in over the Wolves after just beating the Express and BJR?
Kind of, just because you're gonna take the whole season.
I have a bone to pick with the game-winning goal from the games against the Express and BJR. Side note, I cannot forget that. We get the fantasy. I think we're in agreement that 3 and 4 Ducks and Little Flyers.
Yep.
I have a hard time. I don't know what to do because yes, they beat the Express and Rangers, but they got beat by 5 today up in Vermont. Tough place to play. I know that, but
another place, Letty Arena. Write it down. It's cold. This was the breakaway ice center. Good Lord. I was an icicle the other day.
I didn't find Letty all that cold. Everyone kept telling me before I went up there, they're like, it's freezing. Make sure you dress warm. I'm like, unless I'm just like unreasonably warm, like I didn't find it that cold. I've experienced much colder this season.
Yeah, go to the Bic. It's about -10 at puck drop every day from over there.
I'm gonna say Vermont 5. Not
Vermont
Worcester.
5. What?
Yes.
I would say either the Wolves or the Raiders.
Really?
Transit property. They beat the Wolves.
I was saying Neil's on that lumber.
They beat the Wolves. And here, I'll give you this one. So
he's got an axe in his hand. He's chopping wood.
They beat the Avs, or they split with the Avs, and then they beat the Wolves, who beat the Rangers, beat the Express, and then I could be totally wrong when Vermont hosts the Rangers this weekend. But I want to look right. If they do beat the Rangers, then they truly deserve to be in the top 5.
And they could be in next weekend. I think it's gotta be Wolves or Railers this week. They just have looked
And the
better.
Rangers are 5-5 in the last 10. They're kind of.
Oh, okay. So do this then. Pick one. Wolves or Railers. Pick one.
The Wolves.
Okay.
Lawrence vote Wolves.
1-1. Jeff.
I still say Railers.
Oh God. Now we're 1-1-1. Jesus. Anthony.
Dun, dun, dun.
Anyone that doesn't get in, by the way, is receiving votes, just so we're all clear.
Right.
Wait, so the choices are between the Railers,
the Wolves,
or the Lumberjacks?
Yeah, Lumberjacks.
Or you could just pick anybody else, so we can go 1-1-1-1, and then Justin steps in.
I mean, the Lumberjacks have won 4 of their last 5 games.
Mm-hmm.
Though 2 of them were against the Chiefs. One of them was
we really only look at like the past week for like when it comes down to brass tacks. We're looking at like the most recent ones, not like.
I mean, the whole season I feel like should come into play a little bit too, though. We're gonna have to come up with some new formats in the off season for these power rankings because
the changed format was last year. I did it. Now I make you all do it with me.
I know. I think that's the change. It goes back to you, Neil.
No.
All right, I vote for the Lumberjacks.
Woo!
Okay, Lumberjacks it is.
Lumberjacks are in.
Lawrence
Railers
face.
and Wolves are each receiving votes.
Right.
And if we're wrong, Anthony and I will begin next week's podcast by saying we were wrong.
Lumberjacks got a heck of a schedule down the stretch too. If you look at all their, I mean, so that's where we'll see, if we're bright or if we're not so bright. Rangers, Wizards, Avs twice, Railers, Wolves twice, Railers, Express.
We're letting the two lowest fantasy guys pick the rankings. Okay.
We haven't got to fantasy yet. We haven't got to fantasy yet.
She's pushing 600 points. We're all barely skipping over the 500-point mark.
It's not fair. Anyways, EHLP. We get to the EHLP power rankings now, which last week it was Avs 1, Rangers 2, Railers 3, Lumberjacks 4. For the Avs, they just went out and won all 4 of their games this week.
They stay one.
I would say they stay one.
Yeah. Shout out to Nick Vasilyevs, my P pick last week. What's up, buddy? He
now we're onto the Avs train again.
Avs train. He did a little flex and said Team Jeff, and then he went out and got me 3. He, as one Lauren Smith once said, he rated the produce line and got me 3 apples.
Section. Produce section.
Oh, produce section. Produce line section. Tomato. Go Yevs. Go Yevs. Anyway.
So the Avs, last year's regular season champions, looking just as good this year with 22 wins already. The Rangers only had 1 game this past week, and they won 5-1 against the Express. So they have to stay at 2. The Railers are at 3 going into the week, hit the ice for 1 game, lost 5-2 to the Avalanche. But behind them, Vermont got swept by the Avalanche. One of those losses was in a shootout. Other one was 5-2. Were there enough games that took place, though, and teams winning those games to take those 2 teams out, Railers and Lumberjacks?
Same issue.
I mean, the Lumberjacks just lost to the Avs twice, so I don't think they should stay in.
Who goes in?
We'll say then we got through what? Seahawks?
That's
or
the fun
Warriors?
Question.
Little Flyers have now won 3 straight games.
Yep.
Number 1 team in the South Division.
South looks much different in the Premier than the EHL.
Did the Little Flyers even play this week?
They that is an excellent question, Anthony. I don't think
asking the hard-hitting
I
questions.
don't think they did, but that's what I'm like. Do they get in based off of what took place before this week? We only had a small handful of games because of the snow, and there's more snow coming, by the way. More pouring of the snow.
It poured snow last weekend, Neil.
Yeah.
When's that snow coming? Friday?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, the Little Flyers last game was January 22nd.
Yes.
And that was a 4-2 win over the Renegades.
Did anybody do anything? I get what Lauren's getting at. The Lumberjacks have to go up, but who goes in then? Can a team go in that didn't play?
No.
Is that the barometer?
That doesn't make sense.
Is that have we set that bar?
The 87s played.
Well, it just doesn't make sense. Oh, we haven't played, but we're going to get put in the power rankings.
Based on your other teams around
87s played. They beat the Renegades 4-2, and they've won consecutive games now because they beat the Connecticut Chiefs last week.
But can we put them in over the Little Flyers when they're in second place behind the Little Flyers?
Right.
Just because Philadelphia didn't play.
The Little Flyers didn't play this week.
I understand that, but
that doesn't make sense.
So you just want to have the same 4?
I don't think the Lumberjacks should be in, but it's just like it begs the question of who does go in. But like I don't know, it's a mess.
Right, with the so few games we had.
Yeah, there's not a lot to choose from.
At the very least, maybe give them receiving votes.
We only had 7 Premier games. Yeah, we had 7 Premier games last week total.
Not a big week.
No, a lot of stuff moved. I don't know. That's a tough question as far as if you're Little Flyers, you didn't play, but the team like the Lumberjacks lost twice. They did play. Can you get credit for something that you didn't even participate in that week? Or do you because the Lumberjacks lost twice?
I think Little Flyers go to 4. That's my vote. Lumberjacks out.
I think that's stupid. They didn't play.
Okay, Anthony votes with me.
Says who?
Well, the Little Flyers did not play. I think you can make an argument that the Lumberjacks did play themselves out of a spot. So, Lauren, it's tough because there have been so few P games this week. But again, I think.
Didn't you say the 87s just won?
Yeah, but the 87s can't jump the Little Flyers.
No.
But they didn't.
The 87s only wins have been against the Renegades. I got this.
Lauren, if
they've been struggling
Lauren,
too much
I get where you're coming from, but I think this is a special circumstance because there have been so few games. If there have been more games, I would agree with you. If the Little Flyers didn't play, there'd probably be other teams to choose from to replace the Lumberjacks. But in this specific scenario, I'm okay with putting the Little Flyers at number 4. And I'd say at the very least, have the Lumberjacks receiving votes because they're still in it.
God, everybody's just voting against me this week. I love it.
No, Jeff voted with you. Actually, Jeff.
This is 2 power rankings now that everyone's voting against me.
Jeff basically abstained at the first one. He went in a different direction than everyone else did. Jeff, where do you want to vote? Anthony and I are on the same page.
Your vote was the Little Flyers?
Yes. Little Flyers at 4. Lumberjacks receive votes. Lauren is rinse, repeat, keep all 4 the same.
I'd rather be happier with that because it's like if there's nobody that truly played well enough to jump them, just leave them.
Let's throw this wrench in, though, too. Justin just brought it up. Little Flyers have only played twice this year. We're now into February.
They are a well-rested team.
We're moving a team that's only played twice this year into the power rankings, which is what have you done for me lately?
So is your vote to stay with Lauren?
I think so.
Okay, 2-2. Justin.
Leave them in.
Okay. The same 4, stay the same, no receiving votes. Do you want to go to fantasy now? Because I have a bone to pick with fantasy. It's a really big.
Because you're losing?
No, it's not because I'm losing. I'm just really angry about this. So let's go to fantasy.
It's time for the Ecru Fantasy Challenge.
And the Ecru Fantasy Challenge is presented by BioSteel, the sports drink of the EHL. Use the promo code ESHOW, that's ESHOW, for 25% off when you check out at biosteel.com.
Okay, fantasy is all luck, in my opinion.
Oh,
it is all luck.
Garbage.
How the week that I pick Julius Cavando, he gets 0 points. And the week that I pick Corey Pophauser, he gets me 5 points. The week that you pick Julius, Lauren, he gets you 18. And the week that Anthony picks Corey Pophauser, he gets 16. It is all luck. I am convinced it is all luck.
Neil,
it's so not.
I'm so mad right now.
Sad way of saying you suck at fantasy.
Wow.
Lauren is going guns blazing right now. I mean, from the interview with the show.
Because everybody always comes at me and says, "Oh, it's just lucky," or "Oh, you pick all these like random kids. I don't understand these kids." And yet, my random kids are the ones that do the best. And like, honestly, I've gotten some of these kids on the fantasy map this season because once I pick some of these guys, they pop off, and you guys are like, "Oh, maybe I'll take him next week." And then, oh, look, they actually do well because I know what I'm doing.
I picked the same player as you. How did Cavando get no points from me in a home-and-home series with the Spartans, and then he scores the game-winning goal against the Express and the game-winning goal against the Rangers? Power play, shorthanded, bonus, top 5 game-winning goal. Like, I don't get it. Neil,
you make them nervous. You're the associate commissioner. Commissioner's curse. Done.
Because he was annoyed that I didn't use his beautiful shootout goal in top plays, so he wanted to show me up by getting a bunch of points.
Okay.
They're intimidated by your moves at the JBT, not JBJ shootout.
Pophauser got Anthony more points in one game than I had the whole week with Pophauser. How do you explain that?
Your moves, your genes, all of you.
Enough with my skinny jeans from that. Okay, the guy. Did I tell you?
Hey, at least you now just admitted that they're skinny.
They're not skinny jeans, though. And did I say
skate? Whenever you wear jeans with skates, they
ride up a little bit, so the legs get a little tight, and that's probably why I got second place again. Did I tell you what he said when I went in on one of my moves? So he's on the mic.
The goalie.
No, Jesse, whose son was the one that passed away, Jesse, who runs the event. When I hit the blue line, he was like, for those in the crowd that are wondering, Neil's jeans are 28 length and 28 waist. Could you even imagine? Like, I could not fit my leg in that.
28. Yeah, I was gonna say, what's that? Your junior high?
I did not score on that attempt.
Neil,
because
I think your nickname from now on should be Lean Jeans.
Oh my God.
Wow.
If I get called Lean Jeans, I'm leaving the finals. Anyways, to recap what took place in our fantasy this past week, because this one's also unique. Did you guys?
I had such a crap week last week, though. It's so funny that they're like, oh my God, like, I don't understand. This is all luck. I had such a crap week last week, and I somehow did well this week with like no goalie points. So I don't know what to tell you.
When I pick someone that you picked and they got you 0 and they get me 18, you can say the same thing to me. I am rattled.
I've never said it. I have never once.
I'm just rattled by my luck with this year. But
I just know these players.
Anyways, the final point totals of this week, you had 41. So yes, you win another week, but you did not hang out with all the cool kids, myself, Jeff, and Anthony, who finished with point totals of 31.8, 31.6, and 31.2. So clearly finishing between 31 and 32 was where the cool kids were this week.
Okay.
But Anthony had 31.2 total points. To recap, who got him those points? Robbie Seawagon with an assist, as I mentioned. Corey Pophauser got him 16 points. Matt Gover with 9.2. Rhett Evian, I guess I am wrong here. He got me more points than when he got Anthony. He got Anthony 0. And then Connor McCowell with 7 for 31.2. Who do you have for this week coming up, Anthony?
Okay, so taking a look around the the EHL, for the Connecticut Chiefs, I'm picking Justin Harshaw. He's had a couple of multi-point games at the end of January, picked up a hat trick against the Protect Junior Ducks, so
Ding.
He is on Team Anthony. On defense, I'm going with Dominic Metro. I picked him a couple times before. He is on a 3-game point drought. He did pick up 2 apples in a game against the Railers Junior Hockey Club. I think he'll be able to pick up a couple more points this week, so he is my pick on defense. For goaltending, I have to go Stefan Kulhanek. I mean, he's just been so great this entire season. He picked up 44 saves in a win against the Boston Junior Rangers back on January 26th. That's an easy choice for me. My utility has to be one of the leading scorers in this league, Michael Tersoni. 59 points in 36 games. Video game numbers. He had a 4...
Is that good?
It's not bad. He had a 4-point game against the New England Wolves. That was when they defeated them 9-1. Picked up a goal against the Lumberjacks. So he will be my pick as the utility player.
It's like he told me in Exeter, they're just gelling like hand sanitizer over there.
Oh, God.
These guys, the stuff they say every week, ridiculous.
For the premier pick, if you look at the stats for the Boston Junior Rangers, you'll see that Anthony Viola is at number 7 in terms of points, but that's also because he's only played 15 games. He was with the New England Wolves EHL team for the start of the season. He's now with the BJR Premier team where he was last season, and he's been doing really well. He has 21 points in 15 games. His last game on January 30th, he had 3 assists against the Walpole Express. So I'm picking him for my fantasy team.
I finished 0.4 points above Anthony at 31.6.
Look at you.
Cameron Collins, 2 goals, 2 assists, a power play point for me. Declan Bronte with a power play assist. Nathan Miller split his starts. One of them was that 14th all-time shutout. William Prey had an assist. He did leave a game with an injury, so hoping he can make a quick recovery from that because he's a big piece for Seacoast. And then I picked the wrong 87's premier player as Spoker got me no points in that game.
Oh, Commissioner's curse.
Yeah, oh, dude, like, please. I have to just come to the realization that I need to have a strong bracket this year and come back like I did last year. But
should have won the All-Star game.
Oh my God. Anyways.
All-Star Classic, that could help too.
Okay, enough of the All-Stars. I've moved on from those. I lost sleep for a while, but I have been sleeping again.
You, buddy.
For my fantasy picks this week, I think that we've covered why Colin Bella has been selected. So he's my forward this week. Tyler Anastasi recently named the defenseman of the month in the EHL. He actually was our defenseman of the year in the EHLP a few years ago. And I would say he's a candidate for the same award in the EHL. So maybe he does what Jack Johansson did, won the award in both the EHLP and the EHL. Lenny Perno, we talked about him.
And a wizard.
Talked about Lenny a little bit, the new goalie for Vermont. Clearly my bold statement of two North teams going to the finals probably sounded a little crazy a few weeks ago. Now I feel better about it. Vermont is that second team. Everybody heard that here. For my utility pick, I'm going with Drew Oliveri. In doing my research for this, the Railers forward has 9 points in the last 5 Railers wins. He has.
You know what that means? It's time for him to dry up.
He has 0 points in the last 3 losses. So when he scores, they win. Drew, please score. And then for my premier pick, the Little Flyers.
You said please.
Yes, I did say please. I was polite. The Little Flyers play the Chiefs 3 times up in Newington. Johnny Lee is a really talented 0-3 scorer who leads their team. I need the premier slot to finally benefit me because I haven't had a lot of luck with that spot so far since we added it for the second half here. So that gets us over to Jeff's points, who finished 2 points ahead of me. How did Jeff get to 31.8?
Yevs.
All Yevs.
All Yevs, all time.
An assist for Beauvais, a power play assist for Declan House, 11.8 points for Joseph Henson, Eddie's Grigorievs with 7 points, and then Nick Vasilevs with 8 points for 31.8. I still can't believe that Anthony had 31.2, I had 31.6, and you had 31.8. But who are your picks for this week?
Weird stuff, and I'm going to try to go symmetrically this week, so I don't give you a heart attack again. I think last week I went goalie, forward, back to my D, back to my P.
Yeah, going a crazy order.
Yeah, so we'll start from we'll give a little more semblance of order this week there, Commish. I'm gonna start with my P. Why don't we do that? And we're gonna go with Lane Brubaker-Egner. I'm going back to the well of the New Hampshire Avalanche. Vinny Calgieri's Avs were good to me last week. Me and Nick Vasilyevs are friends now on Instagram. He did a little flex emoji in Team Jeff last week. Thank you, Nick. 3 assists for him.
And
so we're gonna hope
Brubaker-Egner got himself a top play. Absolute beauty.
He's got goals in 5 straight games, Lauren, too. So I'm hoping that continues. He's got 14 goals on the season, 9 assists, 6 goals on the power play, 2 power play assists. Get some shorties, too. He has 2 shorthanded goals. So big special teams guy, Lane Brubaker-Egner. Come on down. And then let's go to goaltending, shall we? Nico Carreri, Valley Junior Warriors. This is kind of a bold pick. Again, it's one of those weeks where we don't have a ton of games. Carreri has taken the starting job to get confirmation that he should play majority of the games this week. They have 3 games, so hoping he does play 2 out of 3. Checked my sources and got that check, so we'll see. And they're going to need, I think Carreri's hungry too. He fell to the Rangers in that last game 5-1, so got the Rangers again this week. We'll see if Carreri can get his Warriors the W. And then staying at Paul T. Gilmartin Memorial Arena, home of the Valley Junior Warriors, Jonathan Lapsa, picked him a couple of weeks ago, and the Warriors again playing 3 games this week. Lapsa's up to 20 goals on the season, just had a 2-goal, 1-assist effort against the Wizards in that 6-3 win on the 27th.
And he has back-to-back top plays. That kid is so good.
Top play machines coming on down for Team Jeff. So hopefully Lapsa can continue there. And then I'm going to go to the Railers too, because they're playing 3 games, but I'm going with the new name. I'm pulling a Lauren. I'm getting a guy on a fantasy map. I don't think we've picked this guy this year. Jack Lee? Anybody? Jack Lee?
No.
Going once, going twice. All right.
Good.
Yeah, he's up to 10 goals, 9 assists, 19 points. Another guy that's a monster special teams wise. 3 power play goals, 2 power play assists, 3 shorthanded goals, 2 shorthanded assists. And he has a game winner in there. Just had 2 points against the Wizards in that 4-1 win. So he has 3 goals in his last 4 games, along with 3 assists. So we're going to hope the good times keep on rolling for Jack Lee and the Worcester Railers. And I'm going to steal Anthony's defenseman from last week, Corey Pophauser, because, again, light week. Lumberjacks played twice. Pophauser up to 27 assists, 29 points, 2 goals, 10 power play assists, 1 power play goal. Just had 4 assists today against the Wolves. So hopefully he didn't use all of his power last week for Anthony. He can bring some of that into this week for Team Jefferson. So
I would just like to say, though, this has been like the big thing for us this season is names. It's Corey Pophauser.
Pophauser, which I think Neil saw. I've always called him Pophauser. No,
it's not
I think
Z,
Neil
it's
said
C.
Pophauser.
It's Corey Pophauser.
Okay.
Pophauser.
How do I get thrown under the bus here?
No, I'm saying you've actually. I feel like you've always said it right.
The entire time you talked about him.
Pauser.
Anyways, Jeff, when you pick Lane again for another week, pick other players that have a lot of letters, because that is a ton of letters in his name that you pronounce. So,
Lane Brubaker Egner. Lane Brubaker Egner.
But then you also had Jack Lee. So
yeah,
and
I have a long one and a short one.
I can't wait to have Jeff make his picks again next week and figure out what order he'll announce them in next week. So we'll go to Lauren's picks from this past week, which we already mentioned.
The best for last.
We already mentioned what Julius did with the 18 points he collected.
Thank you, Julius.
I'm picking Bella this week, Julius. And I probably should have picked his line mate, Dallas D'Amato, who just assists on every one of his goals, because he got Lauren 7 assists.
Hey, he does score sometimes, too.
He does. He had 7 assists this past week. Trent King with 2 assists for you. Ryan Webb, 2 assists in a power play point. And yes, Josh Kotai got you 0. But if we flash back, he got you 22 last time, including his own assists.
I was going to say, that was when he got me the assist.
He got you an assist and a top 5 shutout victory against Maryland, was in the top 5 at the time. So 22 points then, like, that's still a pretty damn good week back then. So you should feel like 11 came this week and 11 took place then. But 41 overall, so you win another week. Who do you have this week in fantasy?
Yeah. I had a tough week last week, so I'm happy to do a little better this week. Starting up front, my forwards, I'm taking from the Railers again. They have quite a few games this week. I'm picking Mr. Matt Pimentel. He's a bit of a smaller guy, but when he's out there, you know he's out there. And he'd been hitting a bit of a scoring drought, but he's finally making his way back. I was talking to our good friend Trevor Blackburn about him, and he said he's getting back on the score sheet as of late. So I'm taking a chance on him this week. For my defensemen, I'm picking from the Chiefs. I'm taking a favorite of some of us here on the Ecru, Mr. Dominic Cherico, captain of the Chiefs. Recent SUNY Brockport commit. I'm excited to have him back on my team. He's been looking a lot better for them to start this second half of the season, so hopefully he can keep putting up some points for me. In net, bringing back a familiar face that we all know and love this season, Ronan Mobley from the Avs. He's always good. In a win or a loss, he's usually looking good. He's just a good goalie all around. For my utility pick, we haven't seen this guy's name in quite a while. He's been in a bit of a scoring drought, but I'm taking a chance on him, hoping maybe a fantasy pick will kind of give him a little fire under his butt to get back on the score sheet a little bit. Mr. Adam Zukowski from the Boston Junior Rangers. He's been quiet for them lately, but hopefully he'll start to turn things around here to finish out the season and get me some points and just get back on the score sheet for himself personally. And for my P pick, I am picking one of the white team all-stars. I'm picking Mr. Aiden Parker from the Walpole Express. They have a pair of games coming up this week against the Seahawks. And if you look back at his records against the Seahawks, they're pretty good. 2 out of 3 games against them this season. He's gotten points in. He's been in a bit of a scoring drought lately, but the fact that he's been so good against the Seahawks all season, I'm willing to take a chance on him and take a bet that this is going to be the weekend he finally gets that monkey off his back and gets back on the score sheet, back where he's known to be, and just racking up the points.
The overall points, Lauren is at 590.2, which again, she's not hanging out with the cool kids where myself, Jeff, and Anthony reside. Hey. Jeff is at 503.2. I'm at 499.8. Anthony is at 488.8. So we're all within a little bit of a 15-point margin of each other, and then she's up there. So, but the bracket's coming. The bracket is coming.
Looks great, you guys.
That's where you can make a lot of points.
The bracket is coming. And before we go to what to watch for, because Lauren just mentioned his name, they gave us a shout out, so we'll give them a shout out. Adam Zukowski and Connor Bazal recently launched their podcast as well for FHA. So pretty cool for them to get their podcast out there. They had one of our guests on as well, and Andy Moore. We just had him on, and then he went on that podcast. So with that, let's get to what to watch for.
Before we wrap things up, here's what to watch for this week in the E-Show.
What to watch for is presented by Hockey TV, the official streaming platform for your EHL and EHLP action through the 2021-2022 season.
So more games on the schedule right now. I will use the line that I used last week. Be sure to keep an eye on the snow that is coming. So
how much are we getting? What's the report now? Are we going to get another 2 feet?
Yeah, I don't know.
I want to shovel my driveway again.
Too much.
Some people say 8 feet, right?
Too much. Jeff, I have a bachelor party golf trip that we leave on April 7th, 4 days after the finals. We're going to North Carolina, and there's going to be no snow there.
Oh, where are you going?
You sure?
Pinehurst.
Oh, okay.
The way this year's going, Neil, I wouldn't bank on that, buddy.
Oh, God.
They had winter weather advisories down there last week.
I have golfed in the snow before, though, so I'll be ready for it.
Hey, at least at that point of the year, it shouldn't be too hot, and it sure as hell won't be cold.
Yes. So
it'll be like fall-ish at best.
Well, we'll see. 2022 kind of looks like 2020. It looks a little weird.
So we're dropping this on February 3rd. One thing to keep an eye on next week, when we drop this February 10th, quick math, 7 days. February 10th into February 11th is the roster freeze. So a lot of very important decisions are coming for a lot of teams here. I don't know how many trades are coming. If there is a trade coming, it's coming before Monday. That's the deadline for trades. And then after that, it's the add drop of figuring out, you may have an Ehlp player who may play EHL or vice versa. So teams figuring out that. So crossing into February and getting the championship hats in the mail, we start to really pick things up here. There's a lot of key points on the line. There's a ton of big matchups. For me, the first one that I'm circling is actually in the Ehlp, and it's not one matchup, it's 3. Those 3 games between the Little Flyers and Chiefs. Not sure if one team can win all 3, but if one team can win all 3 in Newington this weekend, they're going to put themselves in a very good position for the number 1 spot in the South Division in the Ehlp. So I'm looking forward to those 3 games. Who's next?
Yeah, those 2 teams just separated by just 3 points. Yep. Little Flyers 34, Chiefs 31.
Who's next?
I'm excited for tomorrow because it's one of my favorite matchups all season, the Chiefs and the Railers. I'm so excited for that. I totally forgot about it until I was doing something earlier. I am so excited for that. They have been so much fun to watch this season. I don't know what it is about those 2 teams, but when they play, it is the most fun hockey you can ever watch. It's just always exciting. You have to tune in for that. If you're not doing anything, I think it's 11 or 11:30, tune into that. It's so fun.
So before we get to Anthony and Jeff's games to watch, Lauren, back to you. You're excited for the Chiefs-Railers matchup. Say the Railers stay at number 1 and they beat the Apple Core in the first round. We're fast forwarding to the second round. Who should the Railers want to face in the Central Division Finals, Chiefs or Rough Riders? Do you want to think about it? We'll go to Anthony and Jeff for their games to watch first.
Was I almost think they would find it fun to play the Railers because it's just always a big competition between the 2 of them. I don't know, I don't know what it is, but the 2 of those teams just go at it you wouldn't believe. But then it's
that's
the Rough Riders are good, but then it's you guys have been saying, and some people say they seem to think the Rough Riders is only really the first line, and if you can get past the first line, you're fine. But it's on those big moments sometimes.
At 87s today.
Yeah, it's they have other kids that can score. Yes, Colin Bella gets a lot of the goals, 4 of them today alone. But I don't know if they can pull it together.
And they got a new goaltender too, right? That's been an issue for them is consistency in the net.
So
yeah, plus the Chiefs kind of rotate their goalies too, which isn't the worst thing because they do have decent goalies. So it's you can't really go wrong with any of them. They all have their good moments, and obviously every human, they have their bad moments, but they have options when it comes to their goalies. So it's they're not terrible. So I don't know.
You don't have to give an answer today. You don't have to give an answer today. We have 4 more episodes coming in February where it's going to start to become kind of interesting to see how these matchups fall, because especially in the South, right? 2 teams are going to get knocked out in the first round in the South that are going to be pretty good. So, but Lauren and I gave some games to watch. How about you guys, Jeff and Anthony?
Neil, you kind of took my answer because I was
sorry.
Well, I was also going to be looking at those matchups between the Little Flyers and the Chiefs. One thing I want to add about that specific matchup, I feel like Connecticut is a much more physical team, and they play sort of a meat and potatoes game. They like to play the body. They have a lot of big players on their team as well. Whereas the Little Flyers P team, bit quicker. I think they're a bit more skillful than the Chiefs, but I think it should make for a very exciting matchup. And Neil, I kind of second you when I say that I also look forward to that matchup.
We can circle it twice.
For the EHL, I mean, honestly, I'm looking forward to February 9th between Applecore and Team Maryland. Just because Jackson Bernard's going up against his former team, I think that one should be an interesting one. And the other thing I want to mention too, we know that Applecore has had a very rough season, but I did get to talk to their interim coach, Joe Whiteworth. He was drafted in the NHL in 2014. He played for the U.S. NTDP. And when I was talking to a lot of the players before the game against the 87s, they were pretty excited about him being in charge. They said that he's pretty good behind the bench. And I think that Applecore could still have a rough end to the season, but I think they could still have a lot of energy with this new coach going into the home stretch.
Jeff, last but not least.
Certainly not least. I mean, pressure's on the Lumberjacks with Neil Ravin's pick to get them to the frozen
I'll go change
finals.
my jersey. My Lumberjacks one's downstairs.
Yeah, right. Get out of that Wizard stuff. What a Lumbies. I'm surprised you didn't wear the Lumbies today. And they got 2 games this week, guys. And they're playing the Rangers, who's been kind of win-loss. And then they got the Wizards on Sunday. So that's a back-to-back for them. It is home at Letty Arena where they tend to play well, but they got Perno as the new goaltender too. So I'd say watch out for the Lumberjacks. It's tight in the north between the Spartans, Wolves, and Lumberjacks, 36, 34, 34 for points. I'd say watch out for those games.
And there's a bunch of other games also, all some big points on the line this upcoming week in the EHL and the Ehlp. Nash is pulling in the driver right now. Well, actually, Nash isn't driving because he's a dog.
Oh, is he? Wow.
Wow.
Call an animal control.
That would be kind of impressive. I did not mean to say that. Anyways, some big matchups on the schedule this week. Like I said, there is a snowstorm coming on Friday, though, on a day where we have 8 games on the schedule. So be sure to keep an eye on the schedule for that. But catch every game on Hockey TV, and we'll see where all these teams stand 1 week from today. We'll talk to you guys then.
Thanks for listening to The E-Show. Learn more at easternhockeyleague.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Also, be sure to subscribe and get notified when next week's podcast is released.